he says to me, would you hit these guys? And I said, tell me what's going on. He says, well, they want him out of the way. They want to run the family. They don't want him there. They don't want Senior running the family from prison. It's over for them. I said, all right.
So, John, real quick, like I know bits and pieces of your story, but I mean, if you had to summarize it in 10 or 15 minutes, you know, what's the basic
Wait.
He
doesn't get 10, 15 minutes right here.
You got like an hour and a half.
No fucking way. We do one-on-one on our own. Right now, give him a little synopsis. This guy's crazy.
He did.
10, 15
How long
minutes.
did he do? When I interviewed him, let's check.
No fucking way.
Dowd.
What's the matter? Pinky.
Yeah.
Pinky.
Yeah.
Pinky Duscador. Yeah, I just hit it.
You got an hour and 54 minutes is what yours was. An hour and 50. Was it an hour and 54 minutes?
154, yeah.
My God,
I mean, I can leave if you guys want to do a one-on-one. Go ahead, Johnny.
So, Matt, I'll give you a quick overview of my life. So the people that most people think that are listening to my story, my background, that it started with the Gottis. That's not really the truth. It kind of was the middle of my life. The beginning of my life is my father was involved with gangsters. He lived in Lower East Side, Manhattan, Seward Street, Rivington, and his neighbors were guys like Vito Genovese. His friends was Charlie Luciano, Lucky Luciano, his first cousin. Blackie was also a made guy, became my father's partner, my uncle's partner, in nightclubs and card games and things like that. So I was raised around these guys. Little Al Greco, who's a big name in North Jersey, killer in jail, got life. These were my father's friends. So I was introduced to them as a young kid. Then later on, my baseball coach was Fat Andy Ruggiano's sons, who I still talk to. Anthony Ruggiano, he does shows with me, his brother Albert. And their father was the boss of our neighborhood of the Gambino family. So I was raised around gangsters.
Right.
Then my little girlfriend at the time's uncle and father were wise guys with the Lucchese family. Those were my other friends. Later on, the Burke family, Frankie Burke from the famous movie Goodfellas was one of my best friends. And later on, he gets killed. And I'm actually one of the guys that come to the house and tell this, not one of, I am the guy that comes to the house to bring the sister to Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn so we can identify the body, that it's her brother, after he got shot in the head 5 times by another mutual friend of ours, Tito, who later on, he gets shot in the head 10 times in retribution for killing Frankie. This is our neighbor.
So this is like a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot like the mortgage. It's a lot like being a mortgage broker, right? Yeah.
When people ask me, where you going? Bye-bye.
I can't see me.
Oh, my God. Are you serious? I think they can see you.
It was blocking my fucking beautiful face.
Here's the problem. He's cutting into my 10 minutes.
I was going to say.
No, you go ahead. I'll shut up.
Why get 10?
How does this pink? Does this pink look good?
Really
Come on, really.
We needed to put a hanky in it.
Oh, I got to get a hanky.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. So you
fine.
killed.
Anyway.
Listen, mortgage brokers and killers. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's a good title.
I grew up in a very violent world, whether I liked it or not, around serious gangsters, top gangsters in the world. Later on, I end up with the Gottis. So getting there is my preparation. Like people go to grammar school, to junior high school, to high school. I'm raised in this life, and I'm around blood, violence, the gyms, boxing, with the Ruggianos also, their father, and my father's friends. So when people are surprised to hear that how did it get so close, an Albanian immigrant family, from Albania, did I get so close to the mob and the Gotti family? It's not really, because I was around other crews earlier in life that were huge in the mob world. So, when you get into this world, you have to either know somebody or be trusted after a while. But I was raised around this since I'm a kid, like I said. So it brought me right into the violence. I made a lot of money in the drug business, and in the violent world, I became a very aggressive guy. And people, when I try to talk about it because I want to show the downslide and downfall of this life, not the aggressive part.
The $35 million Forbes magazine articles, all that shit. Yeah. It's not about that.
No.
It was at the time.
I mean, listen, as a young guy, and I'm pulling in my driveway that's 7 blocks long, You know, you got a boxing ring outside, a baseball cages, 3 homes, a lake, built-in pool. Yeah. I don't realize as a young guy, hey, I bought this property at about 23, 24 years old. I bought 16 properties or whatever. I bought 12 properties to be exact, I think. But in conjunction over the years, probably 16 to 20 properties. And you just don't realize the level at you want more.
Yeah.
Because it's not about just the money. It's about the power. It's about the style of living you have. It's about the success that you see in your mind coming from nothing, that you want more and more and more. And what I try to do in our show is, we had, at one time it was called Mafia Truth, and then we changed it to the Elite Show, is to show people that your situation or Mike's situation, my situation, you may be up here, but don't worry, you're going to come down that slide. Because there's no way you're staying up here if you're on the street. You're going to hit that. You're going to hit bottom. And
what's it like to fill out an application today? What do you put on the application today?
Well, when I first came home, and you know this, people ask me, fill out an application.
Yes.
Yeah. And my parole and everybody's asked me. I go, yeah, I did. And I says, but here's the problem. They write, have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor? Yes. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Yes. Do you have a driver's license? No. What was your felony charge? Several murders.
Yeah.
I mean, who's hiring you? Do you have trouble with authority?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're not getting a job unless you're going to. And this is one of the things I talk about, second chance programs for inmates, ability once you go to jail to come out and get any job, whatever that job may be. If you can qualify for that job, they should be able to give a job so you have a chance at life again. If you don't give us and other people like us a chance, then you're asking them to go back into that revolving door because you're not giving them that shot. And then, kids from my neighborhood, we grew up on Jamaica Avenue, East New York, South Jamaica. We all grew up a certain way. And I understand that it's a tougher life for us than some other people. But that doesn't mean that you got to go into a life of crime. We were just guys trying to take a shortcut. And, the problem is you look at our government, the way it's situated, then and I speak about this on a show.
Right.
I don't like listen, look what's going on in Ukraine and Russia now, right? Who knows what's true because we know we can't trust our media. We know what they've been telling us for 2 years during the pandemic. We know what they're telling us during BLM. Don't believe your lying eyes that you see.
What, the burning buildings?
Please read it.
Peaceful riot?
Yeah.
It's a peaceful
riot.
Demonstration.
Yeah, this is a joke. So when we see that the manipulation just of that, then I'm not sure that anybody's ever going to believe the media, what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. You got to question everything that's being said now because we've seen so much lying going on to us that this government has allowed this to happen where now we are no different than a third world country of bullshit media. We're no different. We're not getting the real story. We don't know really, and I've seen some UFC fighters actually talk about this. We don't know what went on. We do know one thing. Biden was over in Ukraine before he was elected president, was pocketing all kinds of money. And there was a situation, all of a sudden now we're in the middle of getting ourselves involved in a war. And as bad as I feel for the people and the kids, because you feel terrible for them, it's the governments we don't trust because we don't know what's really going on. And like that, and I'm going to make a correlation, with the mob world, it's the same thing. It's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit. And when you buy into it, you're really a sucker.
Hi, my name is Juan Sanchez, and you know me from Matthew Cox podcast. I'm reaching out to you right now so you can go to his Patreon account and sponsor one of his 3 tiers he has. The first tier will give you a thank you text from him. The second tier will give you access to all of his videos, including the ones that I'm in, full length. The third tier includes all of that, plus one of these wonderful collectible paintings. Listen, I know there is hungry children in Africa. I know there is people starving in South America. But we need to help Matthew Cox, his cause. Please support him, go to Patreon, and help him help me help you.
The other day, Matt, John and I had a conversation. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. I thought you had a question there.
No.
The other day, John and I were driving in the car, and John says to me, if I put that much energy and effort that I put into this whole lifestyle, into a regular job or business, how much where would we be today? In other words, so because we're looking at $1 million homes and the things that, like you were in construction, I don't know if you did any flipping, but you did mortgaging and all that stuff. If we just put that kind of energy and effort into we call it easy money, but by the way, there is no easy money. The dope money, all that money, nothing's easy because there's a cost to all of it. The free money you got, there was a cost to all of it. At the time, it seems easy and free, but the cost is listen, we're paying the rest of our lives for it, including yourself.
Yeah.
We'll pay for it.
I worked very hard at fraud.
Yeah. It was a lot of work. But if you pull out legit, if you bought a house, flipped it, bought another one, flipped it.
But you were very successful in the fraud business until you went to jail.
Yeah.
Right.
You got caught.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, the way we helping each other now, doing this, we could have helped each other back then the right way.
Yeah.
Right.
And became very successful.
If 3 guys with half the
If you
brains
get
that
the
we
right
have.
guys, like I helped guys like I used Duke Mandel and Timmy Donovan early. These guys I helped. I gave them all kinds of money. I started them out in businesses, and they fucked me.
Yeah.
And this also is the problem. You have guys that are just not nice guys. It doesn't matter what I did for a living. I wasn't a beat artist. These guys are beat artists. I would help them along, and you would think they'd be dedicated for me to the rest of their lives. Instead, they're trying to dig in your pocket when you're sleeping. So
when people get entitled, they start thinking, you give them a couple $100,000, and they start to think that they earned it. It's like,
Well,
they forget.
earn
I'll
it.
tell you a good story.
Gave it to you.
Yeah.
Timmy Donovan's father, when he was alive, had an argument with me because I gave his son a couple $100,000 to buy a building. I gave him money for the parking business. And his father's arguing with me. And I said to him, you know what's funny about you? I says, you're a nice guy, but you're full of shit. You wouldn't give your own son $1 because you didn't trust him. But it's okay for him to take my money, go ride around on motorcycles inside my building, sell weed, bookmake, and do anything else to fuck me out of my money without my permission. I said, play around like it was a couple of bucks, but why didn't you give him money? If you had such good faith in your son, you never trusted your own son. So you're talking bullshit. Just be a real guy and say it the way it is. But the problem is guys don't want to be honest with themselves because, being honest with themselves, they got to be truthful about their kid, what they raised.
How many murders did you plead guilty to?
I think I pled to 6 murders, conspiracies 4 and 2, and about 40 shootings.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, I don't know. No, the reason is
Threw that in there.
Yeah,
I don't know why I threw it in there. Everybody's always curious to ask me that question.
Yeah, I actually never asked him that question until just now. By the way, that's the first time I ever asked him that question.
And I got to say though, when people ask me that question, whether it's you or somebody else, I try to show kids this life is bullshit by me saying, don't believe the rest of these guys. They didn't do this. They didn't do the work. Because you could put anybody on here and you got to sit with them and be very specific. I'm always asking everybody to do. And people always try to dance around it. Well, ask a guy, can you tell me the first time you did this kind of shooting? What were you thinking? What kind of guns you used? Where did it happen? And go to the second shooting, go to the third. I'm going to tell you why. Most of them are going to stop at 1 or maybe 2.
Right.
And I blast Sammy Gravano for that all the time because he tells everybody he's a perfect killer on his shows. He had a lot to say about me, but I've confronted him 100 times. He only shot a gun once. The second one I don't count because the second time was a 15 or 16-year-old boy. So that's his claim to fame, being a tough guy. They're full of shit. And if you weren't full of shit, you'd see there and list it when you're doing your podcast, and you'd say, I did this, I did that, I did this. Instead, he tells you he's good at murder when he really didn't. He didn't do anything.
No, he
was known as Sammy the Bullshit Artist, actually, growing up. That was his nickname. So, nobody says that. They talk about the title they gave him. So, I always say the same thing. I can make a title for you today. You are now the new concierge of podcasting. You're my underboss, and, we can be full of shit like everybody else, because it's just some bullshit. And that's why I try to positive message to kids. Don't buy into any of this bullshit.
Get a job.
Do the right.
Get a job with a
We
pen.
decided the other day, you can go to UPS, start off driving a truck or loading trucks or whatever. And if you stay with them 10 years, watch how successful you get in stock options and everything. You don't need to do this.
I say FedEx. I use
FedEx.
I use the exact same thing all the time. Only I say FedEx.
Yeah. You're right, though.
Family member, I won't say who he is, was on the street with me, in trouble, faced murder charges, beat him, and he turns his life around. And he works for a major corporation, right? From nowhere. And he makes almost $500,000 a year. So it can be done.
Yeah.
If that's really, the mindset is I didn't know any better, I guess. I was raised in this life since I'm a kid. I had some chances, and
Well, you had a baseball scholarship.
Well, and then I had an arm injury, so I had some chances. And when they fell at University of Tampa, when they fell out, I used that as an excuse to continue on the street. I didn't have to go on the street. I could have did something else, right? I could have got a job somewhere else. I didn't do that. So what I try to tell kids is be true to yourself, right? Well, not just kids, men, anybody, woman. Be true to yourself. Don't give up on yourself like that, because you're just going to struggle the rest of your life, and it's going to bring you up. Look how much heartache we had. We're talking about all the thing, but how much heartache did you sit with your hands in your face crying? How many times you were depressed, sitting in jail cells, and everybody left you. You told a story earlier about your girl.
Depressed. I was kissing the fucking cinder blocks. I woke up kissing cinder blocks.
Got to come across, yeah.
I was kissing cinder blocks, like deep throating and everything, in the joint. Yeah, I woke up. You wake up mad. Like I thought there was someone there with me. I was kissing cinder block walls. That's not a joke. That's real. I fucking was
when
kissing.
I talk about the violence too, you got to remember. So when I'm talking about the violence, it's like I'm talking about somebody else. It was a different lifetime.
Matt's like, what the fuck is he saying?
Yeah,
you didn't kiss no cinder blocks.
I mean,
you didn't kiss cinder blocks.
Out of all the talent out there, this is what you ran with this guy.
You were kissing. Did you ever kiss a cinder block?
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
None of those dreams.
Hey,
no.
Come on.
Everybody calls me and says either they love him or they call me and they tell me, what are you guys doing?
Listen, I thought when we did our interview, when you left, I thought, worst fucking interview I've ever done. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I totally, when you left, I was like, holy shit, I never asked him about this, never asked him about that. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And then that video just kept going and going and in the comment section, there was only 2 comments on him. I could listen to this dude forever. He's amazing. Or, bro, I just couldn't watch, bro. I can't stand that guy.
How could you stay in the room with this motherfucker?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how could you? It was just one of the other. But I was thinking that what you just said about this. So back to, so
kiss him block. Listen.
I'm always asked, like, if you could do it. Not always, but could you do it over again? Or do you regret? I always love do you regret anything? Do I regret anything? Do I regret getting out of fucking prison at losing 13 years?
Yeah. No, it was fun.
I loved it.
I loved it.
Getting out at 50 with nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody's given up on you.
Oh, yeah.
And rightfully so. You're a scumbag.
Right.
Like, I'm doing scumbag fucking things.
Right.
Like when the first couple of years I was locked up, I hated everybody. Everybody fucking piece of shit. This guy, I gave that guy money. I did this.
Right.
I don't want to return my calls. This guy, everybody. It was everybody else's fault.
Right.
And then eventually you get to that point where you start to realize, no, if you're lucky, because I know guys that did 20 years and still hate everybody.
Yeah.
And they went out and they're bitter and they're going to die of a heart attack.
Yeah.
The truth is, by the time after a few years, I started realizing, no, I put me here.
Yeah.
And people say that now, man, I can't believe you did all that time. Can't believe that they gave you that much time. No, they didn't give me that much. I gave me that much. I put me in jail.
Well, here's the problem, Matt, right? And I'm very honest too. And people ask me questions. I really do understand why I shot and stabbed and batted a lot of guys. They deserved it. This is being
right. Well, that's.
Well, I was going to say these.
If you've seen a list, I can write 10 names right now.
Yeah, but these are other criminals. These are other guys that have committed.
It's not. It's not that. They are looking for when they test the waters and they're not sure. Like there's 10 guys right now. I could write a list that I, in some ways, wish I was the guy I used to be because I'd slaughtered them because I know.
You mean current guys?
Current guys right now.
Oh, okay.
But here's the difference.
Am I on that list?
No, you're off the list. You were on the list the other day because you were snoring loud.
I'm sorry.
So,
hey, this is Matt Cox, and do me a favor and join my Patreon account. I have multiple tiers, and in one of those tiers, you get full-length access. Motherfucker. You get early access to all of the full-length interviews that I do, and in some of the other tiers, you actually get a unique painting every single month that you can put on your wall and whatever. So join the Patreon team thing, whatever. Thank you. Okay.
Those 10 guys they really deserve to get what I used to do. And they know I'm not going to do it. So they got big mouths and they talk nonsense, and they're not in the league with me when it comes to this. They all try to because of their egos and they're full of shit and whatever. And they talk and talk because it's an era you can type away and all that. But the difference is, and this is what I try to tell kids that are going through what I'm going through, or men that are going through what I'm going through. It ain't worth your own life to do that. Before I didn't realize that. I was willing to give up my life for that. Now I say to myself, as much as I want to do it, I'm not hurting myself. So that's always going to be my message to everybody. And I say it all the time, you might as well look in the mirror and shoot yourself then. Because this is very easy for me to do what I used to do. I know they're full of shit because when there was no cameras out there, they weren't doing anything. Now there was technology and cameras. They're still talking when they didn't do it back then. So this is when, at the end of the day, you got to say to yourself, what's my life worth? Now my life's worth something. Back then, I didn't think it was worth anything for whatever reason. And I went through therapy, and now my high is to help other kids not do what I used to do. Say, I get what you're doing because, people say to me, how'd you change? I didn't change that much. I just don't react the same. I mean, I still have that same feeling to go after guys that are really fucking with me, or guys that are screwing me, or guys like, say, Duke or Timmy. I just brought up their names earlier, or Mike Mallon, and these guys that robbed me and beat me. Every day I think about, but I won't react anymore because I know that it's just not worth my life to react to these guys, and that these guys somewhere down the line are pieces of shit and they'll get what they got.
And we got a show to do.
And I believe that really.
We got a show to do.
Pay some way, I believe, with God, with karma, whatever. And, and I just look at it and I go, you know what, move forward, do the right thing for kids and put them in the right direction, and do the right thing for myself and family, enjoy my life.
Right.
So
what a nice guy. You're so sweet.
Thanks.
You're so sweet. He actually is a sweetheart and a charmer too. I tell you, he really. So I mean,
he's
yeah. What? Yeah.
It was fucking 30 minutes. He's got 30 minutes.
Right. Okay. All right. So at one point you were given guns. At what point? What was that for? What's going on with? It had something to do with Gotti Jr.
Yeah, what happened was in the mid-'90s.
I want to get you in the mic. I want them to hear that because you're so far away from the fucking mic.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. He don't kill anybody no more. I can say that.
What happened was in the mid-'90s, there was a lot of, after guys were being hit back and forth over, Paul Castellano in the mid-'80s got hit. And then later on in the '90s, when Senior goes to prison, Gotti Jr. takes over. And when he takes over, the family is the acting boss. Half of the family from the faction of the Castellanos aren't happy about Junior and leadership, and Gotti Sr. calling the shot from prison. And you have guys like Danny Marino. You have guys like Joe Watts.
I met Danny Marino, just for the record. Yeah, I did. White Mercedes-Benz convertible.
Jimmy Brown, failure. You have these guys who are loyalists to Paul Castellano. They don't like what happened. They don't respect Junior in the position, and Nicky Carrazzo and so forth from the Brooklyn guys that start having discussions about killing Gotti Jr. and killing his uncle, John Gotti Sr.'s brother, Pete, and the brother-in-law, Carmine, at the time. So they discuss it. Somebody comes to see me, Charles Koenig, and he says to me, would you hit these guys? And I said, tell me what's going on. He says, well, they want him out of the way. They want to run the family. They don't want him there. They don't want Senior running the family from prison. It's over for them. I said, all right. And he said,
did you have a choice, you think, at that moment?
Yeah, I had a choice.
Yeah,
I had a choice, but I had my own problems with Gotti at the time, not the father, but with the son and them, and they were talking too much, and I didn't like it. And I went through names in the past of guys I hit around him. One of them, Johnny Gabbett, the other one, Stevie Newell, that later on he just passed away, became a friend of mine, believe it or not, again, and he was on my show. My own cousin, Nicky, I shot him up. Joe Kane that was around him, we battered him. Then later on, we stabbed him up. He was around Gotti, and then we robbed a couple bookmakers around him. We took one of his uncle's son-in-laws, and we beat him real bad on the side of Bell Parkway, left him for dead. So we started attacking all their guys, and they never retributed back. And so I guess they came to me to step it up to the next thing and hit these guys. They gave me a a machine gun. They gave me a 9mm. I took those guns and I put them in a tattoo shop in Ozone Park that everybody knew of. That was a friend of ours, and we grew up with him on Jamaica. He was a childhood friend. And we put the guns in there in Kubo's shop. Now, he knew the guns were there. Obviously, they're in his safe, but he didn't know who the hit was on for. And it was supposed to be for them. And during the negotiations, we're trying to set up where we're going to hit him. We were going to hit him in a restaurant that we're going to. And I was going to come in through the back kitchen. And I had 2 shooters that were going to come in from the front and to make sure nobody could run out. And I was going to do the shooting when we have a driver. At this point, after we're talking about how we're going to set up, how we're going to do that, who's going to come, they call off the hit. And they ask for the guns back. Because what I was told, senior guys...
That's never a good thing, huh?
Well, they agreed to stepping over, and they had a panel of guys who would run a family, and they agreed to let certain guys like Nicky Croszo step in on that panel and collect the money and see it as really the face of the Gambino family. He's a legitimate gangster and tough guy, and he's been around for forever. When they asked for the guns back, I refused to give them back because I know the situation I'm in now, that both sides, and then I'll be the guy in the middle. So I wouldn't give the guns back. And I told my guys, nobody gives his guns back until I was going to prison. I had several cases at the time. And so they panicked that I won't give the guns back. Unbeknownst to me at that time, they told me they actually got the guns from Gotti Jr. himself, not knowing that the shooting was going to be on him. And we were going to kill him.
So how'd that work?
They kept asking for the guns back. Junior was asking, where's
my guns?
And I'm not giving them back. And that's why they're asking me to give them back. And I told Charles, nobody's getting those guns. I says, nobody's getting anything.
So Junior,
Junior gave them the guns to have himself whacked with.
Right. And it comes all out during the trials. So when people ask me, the betrayal of the Mafia, and the funny thing is, these guys talked about killing me 100 times too. So, our plot actually went a little further. But when people talk about friendships in this life, there is none.
Now, you guys were technically best of friends, technically. You and Junior.
I mean, we were good friends. I mean,
you slept at his house.
Yeah, slept at his house. I was in his wedding, at his wedding. There was only a couple hundred people at the Helmsley Palace. He was the best man at mine, his signature. I was in his sister's wedding party. So, we were close. When people say I don't know how many more videos and photos and family gatherings we need. So
go kill your best man. I'm not laughing. It's not funny, but that's funny.
Well, in that life, there is no best friends.
Right.
There is no anybody who believes anything. Just look at it. Don't take my word for it. Look at history of everybody hitting each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's hitting each other all over the place. Best friends, bosses, underbosses. This is the life. It's nothing but treachery. There is no friend.
And who can hurt you the most?
It's about who
can get close to you.
And who's got the most money? How do you get it? How do you take the power? How do you take the platform? And that's what that life's about. Anybody tells you anything different, they're so full of shit. And the people that comment that don't know, they're so naive to understand the level that we play at. Even till today, when I'm out of that life, they're still bent on coming after me because they have to retract from the truth. They somehow.
Yeah.
And, there's so much more in that life that I could sit here for a year straight and talk about this stuff and the things we're on. But the thing that happens is guys come out of the woodwork like Lee did, that was in prison with me in McKean.
Right.
So there's a million guys that grew up with us that know the factual stuff of what went on in this life. And, when Gotti's lawyer, the father's lawyer, Richie Raybach, was my attorney up to about 2000. So, or anyway, till I went to prison in the 90s, the middle, late 90s. So, these are the ties we all have to each other because of we want to keep a thumb on each other to know what everybody's doing, so they're not cooperating or whatever else is going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So, basically, there's a hit on you, right? Like, there's guys out there that want to have you murdered. Am I wrong about that?
Right now?
In general, I mean, haven't there been?
When we live that life, I've been stabbed up, I've been shot, I've been battered, I've been hit by cars, I've been everything. Guys try to kill me, I don't know how many times, 10 times, 12 times. There were setups. Guys that used to be my enemies, very serious guys. I mentioned them a lot.
We circled the block a few times before we came. We circled the block a few times before we came in.
They had different schemes to try to hit me, and we discuss it now. We laugh about it because we're out of that life. So that's just part of it. We were raised like this. Every day is part of that. You know, there's nothing special that they're trying to hit you today, as crazy as that sounds. That's like saying to somebody that goes and serves a tour in Iraq or Afghanistan, do you think about it? I mean, it's part of their everyday life. They put the uniform on, it's part of it. Police officer puts his uniform on, it's part of it. That's why I'm always talking about pro-America, pro-police, pro-USA, because they're risking themselves every day. They're out there in a good way. We risk ourselves every day, whether or not, because when you're doing what I do and you hurt as many people and shoot people and kill people, you're always going to be a target, right? And that's just the way it is. But this ain't the 80s and 90s when there's consequences to your actions. Before, guys would be dropped constantly. Now you don't see guys getting dropped. I mean, guys could get killed still, but it's not nowhere near as dangerous.
Unless you're in Chicago right now. New York is turning back into the old West again with the
not gangsters.
No, the street kids pushing people into subways, robbing them, shooting them up. I mean, it's getting stupid out there again.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. Yeah.
I talk about that. The street kids from my neighborhood, the gangsters are tough kids.
Yeah.
And I just hope I reach some of them so they don't follow that street shit.
Because it's getting them nowhere.
Hey, so if you do me a favor, and if you like the video, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified, leave a comment in the comment section, and share the videos to all your friends and family. And also, if you're interested in checking out more content from John and Mike, you can go to the Elite Show on YouTube with Mike Dowd. Fortunately. Check it out. And I appreciate you guys watching the video, and see ya.